Dr. Schumann. George. A lovely man, and he transferred my papers. And I'm getting like so from him, and so they accepted me as a patient. That's how they got me. So I got that.
And I'm still awake.
I know you're still awake. Yeah, and maybe the pool will be done by the time I'm done.
Has anything been done anyway? I mean, did they ever get the people
I
out
looked
there?
at it. I looked at it a week ago. But I think today when I sit down there, waiting for electrical stuff. It's a moved in before it fixed. You know, all of the inside. Yeah.
I think we got to send that for months.
I go to Florida. Me and Lois
Working out all right.
it's a little cool. Yeah, there's like again, I don't. You look like you're just smiling.
Thank you.
All right, hello, good afternoon. Hello. It's great to see almost every seat taken. And as I always talk about, it's great to feel and hear that buzz of community and people talking and people staying connected. So thank you for being here this afternoon. We do have a few folks that are going to visit with you in addition to myself, and I'm looking forward to the time together. So I would ask that David start us off with prayer.
It's good to see all the seats taken, but when the meeting's over, we want to see them left behind, please. And just to see who keeps up with the daily perk. You know what today is? It is World Hello Day. So, hello. All right. All right, so with that being said, let's go to the Lord in prayer. All right, let's pray. So gracious and living God, hello. We come together in gratitude for the gift of community. In this season of Thanksgiving, we pause to give thanks for the blessings of this place, where friendships flourish, where care and compassion are shared, and where our lives are enriched by the presence of one another. We give thanks for the nourishment of our bodies and the provision of our daily needs, and the comfort of knowing that we're not alone. We thank you for the roof over our heads, the warmth of our homes, and for the hands that tend to our health and well-being. Lord, we lift up those among us who are facing challenges, whether in body, mind, or spirit. May your peace surround them, and may the love of this community offer support and encouragement. Give us hearts that are open to one another's needs, and give us the wisdom to offer grace, kindness, and understanding to those who may be struggling. And Lord, on today, we pray for the grand occasion this evening, when so many residents from the various licensed areas will have a wonderful opportunity and a privilege to host their own family members for a Thanksgiving meal. And so for the food and beverage staff and the activity staff, other staff members, and especially for the many resident volunteers who are working together to make this meaningful event happen, thank you for their caring and sharing hearts. We're grateful too for those willing and understanding IL residents who will forego a sit-down dinner tonight so that our licensed residents can enjoy this once-a-year event. Approaching the holidays, not just Thanksgiving, we think of those who celebrate in different ways for all faiths and for all who seek to live in love. May the spirit of generosity and care transcend our differences. May we continue to build a world where all are welcomed, all are valued, and all are respected. For we know that, having created us in your image, you also love us all. Forgive us, Lord, if we fail to love all as you do. As we anticipate the joy of Thanksgiving, we pray for those in our world who have less or who go without and who suffer in ways known only to you. May our hearts be moved to extend our blessings beyond ourselves, to share with others, and make this world a more just and compassionate place. So we thank you now for this gathering, for the fellowship we share, for the abundant love that surrounds us. Guide us in living with hearts full of gratitude, peace, and hope as we continue on our journey together. Amen. Amen.
Exercise class, so we're gonna get started. I'm just kidding. Some people look a little scared there. Okay, so just a few announcements for what's going on. Can you hear me? Yeah. Is this better? Sorry. So a few announcements for what's going on in the wellness world. So in the small gym, so the one around the corner from the therapy room, from the group fitness room, we have the bars put up, so the bars that you can hold on to for when you're doing exercises. They also have measured for mirrors in there, so that's exciting. So mirrors are good for checking your form while you're doing exercises, so that's really exciting. Yesterday we had the Nutrition Cafe, so that was our second Nutrition Cafe that we've had. The first one we had a green smoothie, and that was in October, and this one yesterday we had little protein energy bites. So those who came know that it was a lot of fun, and they got a tasty treat afterwards. And I had a little recipe, and we talked about the health benefits. So my goal is to do that once a month. So we're going to do that again in December. So look out for that in the highlights and on the portal. If you have any questions about that, or if you have any ideas for what you'd like to see, then please just let me know. We have a yoga class that will be taught by the Ollie instructor that has been coming here. That's going to start up in January. That'll be once a week on Thursdays at 10 a.m. So that's exciting. We also are looking for a Zumba instructor currently. It's been about probably a month and a half that we've been looking for a Zumba instructor. So we're still continuing to search, but right now we still have the DVD or the YouTube video that we've been playing in the group fitness room at 10 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. So we still have a little form of Zumba going on, but we're looking for an instructor to take that over. We also have open gym time. If you're not aware about this, open gym time is from 11 to 12 a.m. on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So that's a time when I'm available in the gym to show you any type of exercise on the machines. If you have any quick questions for me, you can always stop by during that time. I'm always available. I'm also available by appointment. If you're not able to make it during that time, just reach out to me via email or phone call, or if you see me in the hallway, just stop me, and I'd be happy to go over any questions that you have. We also have, I was going to let you know, check the highlights and the portal for any new classes coming out, anything going on. You can always find descriptions about the classes if you're wondering what's going on in them. If you'd ever like to stop by, you can come and observe the class, or you can participate. We also have, walking group at 8 a.m. on Wednesdays. So I started that in September, and that's been going well. We have a small group, but it's a lot of fun. We walk. You can come and join us. You can walk as far as you'd like to. If you'd like to walk for a whole hour, we can. If you'd like to walk for 10 minutes, you can. So just come and join us. That's a lot of fun. If you ever have any ideas for any other things that you'd like to see, please just reach out and let me know. You can also, as I said before, always make an appointment with me if you'd like to go over anything in the gym, create an exercise routine, or you have any other questions. All right, so, and one more thing. I wanted to say a good class to start with, if you're ever looking to start classes, is the circuit class. That's on Tuesday, Thursdays. That's at 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock. So you have 2 hours that you can come to that. It's basically go at your own pace. So if you're kind of worried about like starting a new class, whether it be too hard or too easy, then you can always try that out. It's go at your own pace, and I'm there to go over things with you too. So that's all from me. Any questions?
Thank you.
Croquet court set up by Wiley Pitts, or Wally Riddle. Wally Riddle.
Oh, I was about to say, is he my cousin?
Or he could still be your cousin.
So there's a croquet court set up by Wiley, according to William.
And we started playing at 10 o'clock on Tuesdays and Friday. Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And it's out near the dog.
Dog park.
Yeah, right there in that open
In the
area.
rose garden.
Near the rose garden. Yeah.
Stop and smell the roses.
Yeah, perfect. Any questions or anything that anybody else would like to say? All right, thank y'all very much. I'll see you around.
Good afternoon. I am not an exercise person. I was tired just listening to about all the exercise programs. It's so bad with it. I love the way y'all exercise, so y'all hanging in there with it. Today I want to give an update on fundraising year to date. That's through actually yesterday, and what we have raised. If you see by the graph, there are, those numbers are small, and I'm gonna show you some larger numbers in a minute, but the chapel funds is the highest, fund that we've been raising money for, and interestingly enough, we've not really asked for the money yet. That's coming, so, that's a really good sign. The residence assistance, the chaplain's activities is my third largest group. And for those of y'all that have been participating in the two disaster funds, they're the last two. The Leading Edge raised more than American Red Cross, and then the most recent one is Samaritan's Purse, and we're at about $1,890 on Samaritan's Purse. Now, the next slide will show you where you can actually read the numbers a little better. So if you want to take a moment and look at those. I did, unfortunately, leave off Samaritan's Purse. It should be under general funds, and that's $1,890, which is great. David and I were counting up a minute ago, and that's about 75 boxes for the children with this group. And this makes the total for our residents giving to Rolling Green Village year to date come in at a $56,602. So that's from January through yesterday. So give yourselves a hand. You deserve it. Thank you. Now, however, there is still time to donate before the end of the year to get your tax receipts in. So I'm just down the hall. If you want to talk money, I'd love to. So with that. Oops, I forgot. Isn't he cute? He's the cutest little thing, but I forgot to put a heading on there. It should say, save the date. And I want to be the first one to invite y'all to join the chapel committee. We are having on Tuesday, December the 10th, one session at 9 o'clock and a second session at 2 p.m. You can come to either one of them. And we're going to be introducing the new designs for the chapel, learning about the chapel garden. We will take over all the rooms down in the village center. So you'll be traveling from room to room to room, gathering information. And then you will end your visit with a hot cocoa bar. So hopefully that will get everybody into the mood and mindset of the holidays coming up. So I want to see you all on Tuesday, what date? December the 10th, either at 9 a.m. or 2 p.m. And it's coming in, the front door at the village center is where we'll start and go from there. There are small invitations, some are on the piano, and I put some others on a chair over here, so you can pick one up and put it on your refrigerator when you get back home so you won't forget. Any questions? Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm going to provide a brief update. I don't have a lot to share with you, but kind of on census and how our last month went with occupancy, and then I'll talk a little bit about what David mentioned in prayer, our Thanksgiving dinner tonight. So census for last month was a very strong month within the health center. We actually had 93.4% occupied in the health center. And then we hit 90% occupied in Evergreen Place. So that was only 2 empty rooms in Evergreen Place. I know that we've talked about Evergreen Place for the entire year, and there's been continued growth there. So to hit 90% was a big deal within the licensed areas. We also were at 85.7% occupied in Cedars for the month of October. Today's census for the licensed areas, we're at 63 out of 70 beds in the health center, 18 out of 22 beds in Evergreen Place, and 26 out of 28 beds in Cedars. So that's a little bit about census. And then I want to talk about the Thanksgiving dinner that David had mentioned. If you've been a resident here for a long time, during COVID it came to a brief halt just to what was going on in the outside community. The licensed areas do a Thanksgiving dinner the Thursday before Thanksgiving Day. And we give residents the opportunity to invite their family members and to have dinner with them. So the Commons and the Evergreen Place Kitchen both provide meals to all levels of care. We have residents that will join together at tables with themselves, and then we also have families that will be here. So that will start at 6 o'clock tonight. We do have over 200 residents and family members RSVP to that. So it's a very big deal. It's very special. So if you see family members coming up and down the halls this evening, that's what they're here for. Most of them, if you see them in the hall, especially out in the village center or in the apartment buildings and they're trying to get to the Commons, if you'll help direct them, we'll have people out, but if they stop and ask you, just direct them to the Commons. I want to thank you to the resident volunteers that we have that are coming from independent living. As David mentioned, you are sacrificing your evening and sitting down and having a meal in your home, but standing on your feet for 2 hours and serving. And it really is such a special event to watch. We'll have employees here across all licensed areas and also plenty of volunteers. I actually told my team this morning, our interdisciplinary team, they asked, what do we need to do? And I said, well, really, we're covered with volunteers, which is pretty rare to say that they don't really have a spot. They don't have a certain assignment, so they'll float around, introduce themselves, help where needed. But that shows the amount of willingness that residents have had to step up to this event. So I do appreciate the time that you're giving. And then I also have one reminder. As you all know, Medicare open enrollment ends on December 7th. So I have had several residents reach out to me in regards to what their current plan looks like, if they have, just to know more information about what Medicare versus Medicare Advantage is, also about what long-term care insurance offers, and it really just depends on what your plan is written like, but I'm happy to sit down with you and have those discussions. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. My information's on the letter that went out, or you can stop by my office in the Village Center, and I'll be happy to set up a meeting with you. Does anyone have any questions? No? I'm going to share a brief review that we just received yesterday, and then I'll close. So yesterday we received a Google review from Kim Stewart. Her father was Jack Smith, and he lived with us in the health center for about 11 months. So I'm going to read through the review. So my 92-year-old father moved into the health center in Rolling Green Village in early January of 2024. He had been in assisted living in a different place, but had an event that required him to move to skilled nursing. I was not happy about having to move him, but it ended up being such a blessing. The staff at RGV were wonderful. Everyone from the administrators to the nurses to the support staff were so caring and kind. He began to decline over the fall. They were very communicative and provided options as needed. He passed away last week, and they were so supportive, telling us funny stories about him and how much they loved him. They have continued to reach out to offer condolences and assistance. I would highly recommend Rolling Green Village. So I just wanted to share that with you. We all know that everyone wants to stay in independent living for as long as possible. We all are aware of that. But we do know that not everyone ages the way we all hope, but those services are here when you would need them. And the moments like this are very special to see, especially when a daughter is grieving the loss of her father, to reflect on the past 11 months of his life. So, any questions before I dismiss? Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon. I don't look as good as Anna Grace, but you'll just have to live with that, okay? So, but anyway, I do want to sort of give you an update on the pool, because I know everybody's interested in that. And I will say that we were pretty much running on track. We were hoping to open November 1st, in that. And unfortunately, we ran into a situation where the 2 pool lights in there had to be redone. And they're required by DHEC to have to be in there. What it evidently happened, we don't know for sure, but it appears that one of 2 things. That the pipe the conduit was in that go to these lights collapsed. Or 2, when they were actually building the pool, they got concrete into the conduit, which hardened around the wiring. So unfortunately, that conduit runs around the pool. So I've got some pictures to show you what we're having to do. So we just discovered that. We worked with DHEC, we worked with an engineer, we worked with 2 electrical companies to try to resolve it and come up with solutions. But as you're going to see here in just a second, unfortunately it didn't work out the way we had hoped it to. So, all right. So this is what we're having to do. This is the end of the pool that's on the parking lot side. Okay? We're having to jackhammer the pool, the concrete out. And if you go to the next one, there's a light you can't see. This light is you can see out there, it's where the light is. You can see the sort of the cable that runs into there. So they're cutting all this out. They've got to dig all the way down to this level on the back side of that concrete. And then they've got to come in and remove this. But we ran into another issue today. So this is looking at the end where the patio is. You can see the light. You can see where they're taking it out. Next one, please. And they're also having to cut out here because we've got to bring that conduit all the way out. And so next, please. So we've removed it here. So on this end, the conduit comes out, and we're running it all the way around the outside of the building, and we'll pick it up on the other end over there. So the next one, please. So this is what we ran into. This is the piping in there. There's more concrete in there than we realized. Evidently, they had extra concrete, so they poured it in there. So these conduits are sitting inside concrete. And so now we've got to go and break this out without getting, and so we can get down and run all new conduit. And so it's a challenge. I think this is the parking lot end. You can see there, all this is in concrete. So these are not supposed to come out. These are like drains. So they've got to dig a jackhammer, get around these to dig all the way down to where the light fixture is inside the pool. So all this will be open, put in the new conduit, backfill it, and pour new concrete. And then we can begin the pool renovation. So the obvious question is what's next? I cannot give you, I can only say we're taking it one day at a time. Because like this morning, we got into a surprise when we started digging this up. And we thought we had it all worked out, and then when all of a sudden we ran into this, and so we're back working on that. So we'll be working on it, just keeping in mind we're coming up on Thanksgiving and all. But we're trying to be transparent and open, but the process will be once we get this in, then they'll start rebuilding the pool. Once they rebuild the pool, then they'll redo the surface deck. And then we've got to clean all the beams and the walls because of all the concrete dust that is in there. So I hate to tell you this, we don't have a date, but I want you to understand sort of what we're up against, and we're trying to do it as fast as we can. But every day's a surprise. Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been, how long ago did you know that there was a problem there? Because you're in October, on your report in October, and I started to look at this when this article in the highlights talking about being patient, and I thought, boy, there's a lot of us who've used the pool every day who have been extremely patient for a long time. And so I got the minutes out from all the meetings and looked them all up to see where we were on some of these things. And back in October, the October meeting, just a second, I have it right here in front of me. You talked about pressure washing and all the rest of it, and also that the electrical was all completed, as was the HAVC and a bunch of other stuff. And it was stated that you were anticipating this all being completed by the 18th of November.
That is correct.
And so I went down there with my suit on the 18th of November, and guess what? There's no water in the pool, and I hurt my head when I dove in.
Well, you know,
But my question is, how long ago did you know this? Now, all this happened yesterday. Now, the 3 weeks I've been watching this, as have some of the other people who use the pool regularly. There were 3 weeks in November where there was nothing done in there, and we've noticed that as well. And early in August, I started keeping a daily progress report on the pool. I finally stopped it in September, mid-September, because I was writing down no action, nothing done, nothing done, nothing done, nothing done. So there was a long time before we got started on this, which leads me to the next situation, which is as follows. In August, we missed 25 days. In September, we missed 30. In October, we missed 31. In November, up to today, that's 107 days that the pool has not been available for us. And we pay a considerable amount of money here. And this was one of the reasons why we came here, was to use the pool. Now, I assume that November is going to be 9, December is going to be 31 for sure, because if you follow on your plan, which is after the pool is done, it has to sit for 30 days in order for that to be done by the first of the year, which is what was stated kind of in this article where it says, unfortunately, due to electrical issue, the pool will continue to be shut down for the rest of this year. Which year are you talking about? 2025 or 2024? Because if you go from November to December, I gave you until January 15th of next year, which is another 55 days, which is 162 days altogether that the pool will not be available to use. Now, that is an issue because there is really nothing we can do about it. But don't tell us, don't tell me, don't tell Julia, don't tell all these other people who use the pool that we haven't been patient, because all along it's been stated it was going to be done by the 18th of November. Didn't happen. Now I see today that you said you're not going to give a date anymore, and I know why, because chances are that's not going to happen. And consequently, it's a problem, but it needs to be shared with you. 30 days from the 1st of December, the pool would have to be done by the 1st of December, 30 days to get it done by New Year's Day or New Year's Eve. It's not going to happen.
no, it's not going to happen. Let me
For sure it's not going to happen.
Let me clarify something.
Now, but before I finish, and I want to say one other thing. And some people will say, well, why are you so concerned about this? And I'll tell you why. Because it's one thing to miss an activity or something that we're dealing with or something that we like or something that we pay for when you're 40 or 50 years old. When you're 70 and 80, 6 months is a considerably longer, a shorter period of time because to deal with. Some of us might be dead by the time that comes done. I mean, that you can laugh about that, and that's true, but that's why, did you mention that the code requires you to have those lights in?
That is correct.
They have to be, because the year and a half that Julie and I and others have been in that pool, those lights have never been on. We don't know where the switch is, we've never seen it, I was there every day. Those lights have never been on. So if they haven't ever been on before, who cares if they're on now?
Thank you, Terry.
Thanks, Terry. But let me
Terry, we share your concern for the pool. I don't think anybody, myself or Skip, would have wanted the pool to take this long. I hope that you believe that. We don't want that to be out of commission like this. It is a big project, and as Skip mentioned, there's some things that we weren't aware of until you dive into it. You know, I do share your concern too for some of the delays, but I know I've been in touch pretty frequently with Skip around it and sequencing of all the different contractors and understanding, you know, when they come out, what's going on and what they need to do. That has created some delays. And I do think we have an alternative for folks. It's not the ideal alternative, but we have given a YMC membership to anybody who wants to, and we're providing transportation to go out there. So it's the best alternative other than jumping into the pond. But we didn't want to do that.
Thought about it.
But we do want to make sure it gets back up, and we share your concern. I know you feel strongly about it, and you know, as I visited with Skip, I said, you know, we need to get across this next, you could say this next mark, and then communicate where we stand from there. Because as we see, you knew electrics need to be done last week. We were able to get folks together, and now you get into another surprise. So, what else would you say, Skip?
Well, I want to clarify when we talk about the electrical. We were not talking about the electrical for the lights. We were talking, in the pool. We were talking about all the electrical in the pool equipment room. Yes, and in the room itself. That is complete. We were not aware of this until we got in there and started to replace that light and realized we could not get the cabling out. And then that led to further investigation of what we found. But the other thing I want to remind you, this pool was built in 2012. And it's been open every day for 2012, since 2012. Occasionally when we've had some issues, that's like anything mechanical, just like you have in your house. All right, we've done that. So it's 12 years we're into this project, that we're trying, just a second please, that we're trying to come in and redo the entire pool room. As we got into it, then we discovered, just think about everything it takes for this commercial pool. This pool runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it has for 12 years.
Okay, Skip, we got Julia's question for you.
My question is, if this has been under DHEC's thing all this time, why have we not done anything before now? I'm like Terry, I have not seen those lights on, and I've been here 7 years.
Well, they have worked, and I can't answer that. I don't know.
Well, why does it
DHEC does inspect the pool and stuff, okay?
every 20 years?
On a regular basis. I don't know what the schedule is.
We do have regular inspections from DHEC, and I think what Skip is pointing out is that when you have a pool, for safety reasons, there needs to be that lighting there. And you're right, it may not be on during the day because it's not needed there. But, you know, that is open to folks.
But why has DHEC not
Well,
said something about this before now?
we didn't, I think the issue is they asked them, can we go without lights? And that's where the DHEC regulation comes in, that for safety you have to have that lighting. So you're correct, they didn't come in and advise us at the beginning. We believe that the electrical was just as easy as pulling that out and replacing it, but since it wasn't, then we reached out to DHEC to confirm, do we truly have to have lighting or not? And they said yes, and that's why we're going through this extra level of repair.
So everything you've done so far is for nothing?
No.
Everything you've done so far is for naught?
That's not true. Everything we do, sorry, is getting us toward the process.
What has been done that is ongoing?
I don't
If you
understand
take a
the
look,
question.
you can go back and look at how the pool was drained, how the surface is going to be redone from top to bottom, and also the ceiling. So you look at all the beams, there was a lot of rust and issues. We do have to go back and clean. That is something that we did not plan for because of this surprise. And I know how strongly you feel and how much you depend upon this. And it's, believe me, we wouldn't have wanted this to happen.
Well, it's a health issue for some of us.
I know. And I don't know what else we could say around that other than we will communicate when we can get it, and we're going to try to get it squared away as soon as we can. Got a question over here. Sorry, I'm still getting around a little slowly.
Yeah, right. Thank you. This goes beyond just the pool. The question is, or the issue is, there was not appropriate oversight, I take it, of the contractors, or the realization that the work that was done, whether it was in 2012 or whenever, there doesn't seem to have been the oversight of the work done by the contractors. The 2020 Phase 1 construction obviously had a number of shortcomings as well. And again, the blame is the contractor didn't do it right. But the question is, where was the oversight of Rolling Green staff of the contractors? And so now we're getting ready to contemplate Phase 2. And my question is, what lessons have we learned from this? And what is the commitment of the Rolling Green administration to have very thorough and capable oversight of the contractors who provide this work?
So, from a big picture perspective, we do have oversight of the contractors. For the 2020 project, I can only speak about that because I wasn't here when this pool project was undertaken. We had an owner's representative who helped to oversee those major milestones and was a part of the construction meetings, who was a consultant that our board paid to be of the interest of them to ensure that things were done correctly. We're going to have the same gentleman that's going to be a part of the next one to help oversee and look at those major milestones, but they're not there watching the concrete be poured and see that maybe there's a little bit extra concrete. So there's certain limits to what that person will oversee, but they're actively engaged, and Skip was a part of those meetings as well. I think it's monthly. I don't know.
Sometimes it was weekly.
So there are routine meetings that they're a part of to ask those questions to make sure that they're following the correct code, and those types of things that happen. But there are certain limitations, like we don't have that person here 24 hours a day overlooking every single contractor or subcontractor. There is responsibility on certain contractors for their subcontractors, as far as the oversight. So there is a check and balance there, there is oversight. But I can't speak to this, I wasn't here at that point in time.
So the question was, there were certain aspects of oversight which were in place then in 2020. But obviously there were a number of things that fell through the cracks. And so have we learned from this that even though something was in place, that perhaps this was not adequate? And are we going to learn from this or do anything differently as we move forward into yet another phase of construction?
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly what those oversights you're referencing, like we need some specifics, but I do know that there is that level of oversight. I do know that myself and Skip and a lot of the operational department heads are a part of the teams that are meeting with the contractors, the architects, the design folks. So we are making sure that we're a part of that, and I've continued to make sure that Skip has a voice with certain things. An example, a specific example, to speak to your point, was around the French drains and the downspouts for the cottages. That was a lesson that Skip and I talked about, to where it should have been done with the project, but it was pulled out of the project. Some people call value engineering as the project moved forward, and that was left upon us once the cottages were built to go back in as we experienced issues with the drainage. So a couple of years afterwards, we went in and we did have to invest in the money. It was over $100,000 to redirect those downspouts. That's one of those lessons learned that I've said Skip, we talked about it. We talked about this, but it got pulled out. We need to make sure this doesn't happen again. So Skip does have voice in that. We've talked about it. That's one example. That's, I think, the only example I can think of to where we are having oversight, we are learning, we're making sure that folks are critical to make sure we minimize that chance moving forward. But I'm not aware of the contingencies. Our budget was not, we did not exceed the contingencies of the budget for the project for phase 1. So there's a certain degree of that that's built into the budget. So from that standpoint, that project was, I think, very successful. But there are some things that do happen and some decisions that are made. But we do have that owner's rep in place for phase 1, and will continue to be there for phase 2. But there are limits to the scope that that person has and the oversight.
Just, Ryan, something I want
Hold on
y'all
one
to
second.
understand. When the pool and everything else was built, and just like we did in 20, Greenville County building inspectors are involved in that. DHEC is involved in that. DHEC Life Safety in Columbia is involved in that. So we had all the legal jurisdictions that were required, along with the engineers and the architects and the contractors working on these projects. And so we could not move forward, we could not occupy any building or any cottage, any apartment without them getting a certificate of occupancy. Where they come in, they do the inspections throughout the build, they do the final inspection, and then they sign off on them individually. They don't say, okay, all these cottages are good to go. We have to get a certificate of occupancy for each one. The pool, the same thing. All those had individual approvals and certificates that had to be issued before that pool could be opened.
So the codes have changed, we have not.
No, that's not. Codes continually change. It's always,
That's what I'm
they're
saying.
always improving, getting
The codes that were there in place to start with, and that pools are no longer available.
All right, the question is, we don't want to beat this to death any longer, but my only question is, who's going to follow up on this? And have the contractors been hired, and do they know that they can be in there working now, or is this going to sit with a pile of dirt for 3 weeks before anybody comes back to do anything on it? That's the question, because there have been multiple days while this project was going on when nothing was done and the contractors weren't showing up, and I think that comes to her oversight question as to who's going to watch it. Are they going to be here tomorrow? Now, I noticed that you cut the cement yesterday, and so today there was somebody there working. All right. Now, what's going to happen tomorrow? Is somebody coming tomorrow to do this?
They've got to start figuring out how they're going to jackhammer this out. But yes, but please understand, this is not a cut and dry situation. Okay, they don't get in there and say we can do this. They get in there, then they just like we got here, we discovered we had this. So we did that by hand digging. So now they've got to get in there and figure out how we can get this cut out, get that concrete cut out without tearing up all the piping that's in there. So this is a delicate process.
The other piece with the delays, we did have to get multiple stakeholders together between the electrician and the pool people. So getting everybody's schedules aligned. I think folks know that when we're working with contractors, they're also pretty busy. So getting everybody aligned to coming out at the same day, at the same time, putting multiple heads together to look at it, to diagnose, and then come up with a plan. But we have put down a deposit. I think is it the Bradley?
We got Bradley Construction.
Bradley Construction is the name of the folks that are helping us, assisting us with this. So that's an additional to what we've had with Clarity Pools. So they have started on that, and they're going to continue to do that. But Skip is the one that's overseeing it on our behalf to make sure that we get there efficiently. And we do share your concern of getting this done timely and getting it back so that folks can use it. So I don't want to get too far off, because I only got about 15 minutes left. We can come back to this later. Skip, is there anything else you want to say about the pool? Any pictures or any else presentation?
No, I think this is all of it. Thanks, man.
Thank you, Skip.
While
right.
Skip is leaving,
He's not
Skip,
leaving.
Thanks for the erosion control work that you've completed on the lakes and the drainage down under the power line. That equipment operator is unbelievably positive to watch.
Thank you. Thank you all. We really do share your concern. We don't want things to be out of operation. This is difficult. We hear you. We hear you. Let's move forward. I'm going to try to go quickly. Has anybody heard we're going to have pickleball courts here? We've been talking about it since 2017. It's going to happen. Unfortunately, we're going to displace the new court that was just built out there. So just to be aware of that. So, but you guys can read this. Clancy Thace is going to be our project manager. We're going to utilize the same subcontractors that built the new pickleball courts down at Unity Park, which have just opened. The temporary location is going to be just outside this window. I got a picture of it for you. Right there in that space, adjacent to the new croquet court. I think it's going to overtake the croquet court. So that was an interesting value add with the croquet court there. We had no idea. We thought somebody was coming to make our own putting green. Just came out of the sky, but we are going to be placing the pickleball courts. This is a view from the engineering team. This is what it will look like. There's going to be 2 courts, and then this is where there's going to be a bocce ball court there. So we're going to start the week after Thanksgiving, and the hope, weather permitting, that it'll be finished in January. Again, weather permitting. There is going to be the need to display some of the parking spots out here for a dumpster coming up for that work to be done. But we're hopeful that I think the first week of December, take approximately a month, give or take, with the weather, but to be finished in January. Let's keep moving along. How about this? Has folks seen the new floor in the wellness space, the Palmetto Conference Room? I think it really brightens up the space. It's a resident request that when you're exercising in there, you've got carpet, your feet can get stuck. Well, we put down some nice new vinyl plank flooring. The holdup for this was that we had to find new casters for the new chairs that we had. So we bought these brand new chairs, but they have 4 wheels, and you can't have 4 wheels on vinyl. So we had to find the casters. We got in touch with the interiors folks. They gave us these new casters, so we need to make sure we install those new casters before we put the new chairs out. That's why there's the old chairs out there right now. But Dwayne and Skip were able to get this squared away, and I think it looks really, really nice just down the hall here.
Ryan, I commend you for being willing to make the check be flexible and go change with the needs.
Thank you. Thank you. That's why we're here. Wanted to make sure you all knew that we also have a new website that was refreshed as of the last couple of weeks. So it comes back to the video campaign that we had a few months ago where there was some new content, some new folks. If you take a look at the website, a really neat snapshot of Mr. Albert here playing pool. It's a really cool angle showing him shoot at the pool table. Take a look at it. It's pretty cool with his cowboy hat on too, no less. So take a look at it. There's been some updates there. One of the things we did add with Judy's focus is making sure that folks know about us being a 501c3 and being able to donate. We're trying to get a donate button on the website like a lot of nonprofits, but we haven't gotten there yet, but we're trying to. And then this picture here, make sure folks know I've gotten a lot of resident feedback to say we don't know, we don't see anything about our mission and our vision and our values. And as I heard that resident feedback, I thought about it and realized that we had these really nice glass pictures, but they were back in the administrative offices. So as we were doing a little bit of reorganization, I recommend we pull those out of that area and put that up front. So as you come into the front door and as you turn towards the dining room, you can see the hospitality promises, the life care service one, and then also the one about Rolling Green, our mission, our vision, and our values. So I just want to make sure folks knew that we did follow up on that as well. run through these real quick. The lakeside sidewalk. We did get Strange Brothers to come out. How long ago was that, Skip? Was it last week? Or the week? 2 weeks ago? So Strange Brothers is going to be that second contractor to give us a bid on what it will take to finish stabilizing the shoreline and what it would take to look at that sidewalk area. So once we get 2 complete bids, then we will review them, then we will sit down with the lakeside folks and talk about those options and make a decision. That's going to get pushed into 2025. The landscape architect folks, we had some graduate students out back on November 1st. It was a great opportunity. Had a couple of resident volunteers. Thank you for those folks spending their time. But we're excited about some of the next steps with their projects. We also do have a gentleman by the name of Jordan, who's a graduate student, who's going to do his master's project with us, likely focusing on the ponds. So we're still kind of waiting for him to give us some more details on what he's going to do. But we do think it's a great partnership, giving back to students, kind of changing some of the awareness of who we are in the community. So that continues to move forward. The Village Green furniture, the artwork has been hung. We are still waiting for some furniture for the 3rd floor of the D building. So we don't have a delivery date yet. I guess the different types of fabric that we requested were no longer available. So we went through 2 different types of fabric, and I think we finally found a fabric that is in stock, and now we're waiting for the delivery date. So it shouldn't be too long. The Village Green courtyard, we're still kind of at a standstill there. We do have the finalized plans that we want to do, but we need to get that converted into architectural plans that we can share with contractors. The Hoke Smith sidewalk project as well, we're still waiting for Duke. Now, Skip did tell me something interesting. When Strange Brothers came out, they said they might be able to help us with that, and that doesn't require us to wait on Duke. So we may entertain that as well to see if they could help us move that project along versus sitting back and waiting for Duke Power to get back to us. Phase 2, we're at 58 sales roughly. I know Ruth says there's a few checks in the mail, but we really can't count them until we get a check in hand. But 58 deposits over 4 months is a really great start. We need to get to 90, so we're over halfway there. We have not planned to get to 90 until next December, until 13 months from now. So I feel pretty confident it's not going to take us 13 months to get to that number. We feel that we can get there a little bit quicker than that. But that's a typical time frame that is built into a project like this. We are going to have another town hall. We had one with Tom Bowden. We were hoping for this many people to show up, but that didn't happen. I think it was because the newsletter went out the same day that the hurricane hit. So, but it was posted. There were a handful of folks that were here that did attend. We were hoping for a few more, but Tom came out and we had a good opportunity to visit with him. But the next one we will invite Clancy and Thays, the general contractor, to come out and talk to you about the work that they do. So that's probably going to be January, February of 2025. We don't have a date yet. I've just reached out to them to see what their availability is. Lucas will be here as well, the guy with the beard. And 2 folks from Clancy and Thays will be here to talk about the work that they do and have an opportunity to visit with you. So that'll be sometime January, February in this room here. Keep moving along. On the financial side, last time we visited, I didn't have the September financials, but I do have those for you. We had another solid month where we exceeded our operating revenues, which has been the case all year. We did have a few more expenses in the month of September. Overall, we did see a NOI of $146,236. It was about $66,000 under what we had budgeted, but still in the black. Move on to the next month. So I want to talk to you a little bit about October. So during the month of October, we learned that our Phase 2 marketing expenses, in 2019, a new law came into effect, an accounting principle that required communities to not be able to set aside marketing dollars in a different bucket, separate from operations. So during Phase 1, we had our regular operations, and then you could show in a separate area and capitalize the dollars for marketing. So there's, as we've talked about, there's a couple of years of work that's done, so we have to market for a couple of years. So we did that for the first phase. We could hold that separate. We had taken that same approach for Phase 2 and realized that in 2019, the accounting rules changed, and somebody within Life Care Services, that's our management company, said, well, you can't just put this to the side, you have to account for it in the year that it's used. So we actually found that there was some dollars from 2023 that we didn't account for because we just started it at the end of 23. And then also that the whole year of 2024, we have to account for those marketing expenses in this year. So that is where we took a significant expense in the month of October. Sean and I discussed it. We talked with Life Care Services. We felt like it's best just to go ahead and take that one-time expense in October. It was $398,000. That's the marketing expense from a good amount of 23 and all of 24. So that's why you see that significant difference there in total operating expenses. But in the month of October, we had a great month where we exceeded our revenue goals by $200,000. Our total occupancy across campus for the month was 96%. We were talking about that before. 90 is a great number, but we're at 96% across all the areas of living here. So that helped us. On the expense side, we did have some things that have popped up between renting a healthcare generator to some other projects and items that we're working on. But overall, that's why we're seeing this one-time expense of about $400,000. Now, it's not that we are losing money because we have approved budget. So those dollars are there. We've approved those dollars to be spent, but we have to show it on our income statement in this year. So I want you all to be aware, it's not that we're losing money, but we have to account for it based upon the accounting principles this year. And it's part of that overall pre-development cost as you create a project. You can't just say you're going to build it, you have to have a marketing campaign from digital to in-person to print, all of that. So, but that does have us experience a negative NOI for the month of October. Keep going. That was all that I have. What questions y'all have for me? It's 3:55. I ran through pretty quick, so I've got a few minutes. Skip, I got a question over here.
How's your knee?
My knee, thank you. I'm doing well, Terry. I had the surgery, I had arthroscopic knee surgery, a repair of my meniscus, and I think they did something else to my kneecap while they're in there. I cleaned it up. 2 Wednesdays ago. It's going well. It's just a little stiff, but I'm still trying to work on walking the correct way, and once a day I'll grab some ice and try to ice it and prop it up, but I'm doing well. It could have been a lot worse as far as the damage and just slowly getting back. It's been humbling though to sit around. More time to sit and realize you're getting older, you're not invincible, and maybe I should slow down and
Reserve a room here.
think about my priorities. Think about priorities. So yeah, it's been humbling because it's the first time I've had to sit around that long for a while. So, but I'm doing okay. I would use. They did say that the pool would be something to do. So, what question? Go ahead.
On the financials, the marketing expenses, will they be able to be capitalized once the project is finished?
So that it is something, yes. So that's part of our approved budget. That we talked about the $5 million for the project. So those dollars are accounted for in that budget, but unfortunately we can't capitalize it in a separate location. You have to take it in the year that you use it. So yes, those dollars are there. Those dollars have been approved. Those dollars are part of the project, part of that plan overall. But unfortunately, it makes it look like a bad month, a really bad month. So, next question.
This is something that affects me profoundly, but I know it affects a lot of the people who live here.
Okay.
And I've asked about this many times, and you said you're going to do something about it. I could not, and I have not at several times been able to eat in the dining room because of all of the surround sound. I actually had to leave my meal and almost went home today. I know you say you have study, and I know you said that you're going to do this and you're going to do that. Can we please make the paneling or something else a priority, not 2 or 3 or 5 years from now, but within my stay here, please?
Yep. So we did have a study that was done around the acoustics for the dining room. You know, the dining room it was created to have an open concept, and we're starting off by looking at the noise that comes from the kitchen.
Do
Skip,
something.
we are. Skip, I don't know if you can tell us, there's doors that have been ordered. We're going to start off with looking at the doors to be ordered before we look at closing in that open kitchen. So Skip, do you know?
The doors have been installed.
Okay.
So if you look in the kitchen, look back toward the kitchen, you'll see 2 new silver doors. So those are installed.
So I don't know, I've been gone for a couple weeks, so they can still be propped open, so they're not permanent doors because they're doors people go from the back side of the house up to the front. So making sure that we can get some feedback from that. If that doesn't work, we will look at some type of a glass barrier. But I want you to be aware, as we talked with the engineers, that glass barrier, that's going to change the heating and air back behind. So you've got folks that are cooking in a confined space now with a barrier that's going to change how we're going to need to run air conditioning back there. So again, as we're talking about one simple thing, which is just get rid of the noise, we're trying to walk slowly before we have to do any major structural things.
But this affects so many people.
Okay.
I would say at least 50% of us are hard of hearing.
Okay.
And it profoundly affects our part of our community. And what to do with that.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate the feedback. I will check back in with Bruce. If other folks feel that they're seeing or feeling the same thing, do continue to let us know. I know Judy's been the champion of this feedback. So we do need to keep looking, but before we went too far, we wanted to pause and see if the doors, the noise from the back, you know, the other thing is making sure that the cooks are not having, I guess, too much fun back there as they're yelling at each other or playing music. That was the other piece we wanted to look at. How can we have them not be as loud to minimize that noise coming out? But I wasn't aware that we had those installed. But we do need to now see, is that working? If not, then we need to go to the next step. So thank you, Judy. Who has the next question? I do want to echo what Anna Grace said about the Thanksgiving dinner tonight. It's a really great opportunity. Thank you for sacrificing some of your time and space. We have close to 200 people that come, some residents, loved ones are coming from out of town, and we put them everywhere. So we have folks in the commons, we have folks in the health center. So every dining room that we have, we create some extra chairs and create some extra space. So, and again, thank you to the resident volunteers that are willing to be there. It's a really special event. Who has another question? Go ahead, Skip, over here.
I know I'm not the only one that has noticed the building of a croquet, well, I don't know what to call it. Oh, yes. Out, if you live in the A building especially, and you watch it over the last couple of weeks, it being built and used, can you give me some information about how and why that happened?
Yeah, I got most of my information just now when it was shared. So we didn't know it was happening until it happened. Yeah. So that was interesting. But we're definitely okay with it for now. It is going to be only there for a few weeks. If we do determine from resident feedback that we want to create a space like that, maybe in a different location, we definitely can. We do have a lot of green spaces and opportunities to do some things like that. But yeah, it was kind of a surprise. But there's nothing wrong with utilizing the space for a few weeks. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Sir, could I'm the guilty guy here.
Sure.
This thing is blowing way out of proportion. Look, my family has always played croquet. They're coming in for Thanksgiving. That's my personal area there that I got permission to just for the Thanksgiving. And then it sort of grew. Everybody became interested in it. And it's nothing infringing on your plans whatsoever. There's no plans for Everybody else just said, well, let us play, let us play.
Yeah.
So that was tricky, and I apologize if it's causing all this grief.
It's not causing grief. It's been more curiosity, I think, than anything. I don't think there's a lot of harm in it. It's not like somebody else who cut down trees for us a few years ago. So, not Skip. It was somebody else. One of our residents cut down some of our trees. So, nothing like that. So, you know, it's definitely okay. It is going to be displaced here in a few weeks. So, thankfully on the other side of Thanksgiving. So, but we're definitely open. I think the spaces that we have lend to some of these opportunities. Folks have talked about a putting green before. That's something we can do. We've got a couple of other spaces we can look at for these types of things. We want to have that type of opportunity for people to come together. And I know that focus on wellness is a key piece. So being outdoors when we can, being together, creating some of these spaces. That's what we're hoping for with the pickleball and the bocce ball court as well. So, other questions? Go ahead.
I want to ask the question. It's just out of curiosity, and I thank you for the answer.
Yeah, I don't think it's created any major issues. It was just like, wow, it's there, it's okay. It's not permanent. It's not going to create any major issues. It's going to be fun, yeah. So, anybody have anything else? I know that Anna Grace forgot to mention it, but a couple weeks ago, we received a designation from the U.S. News and World Report for the best rehab center. So that was pretty neat. So that's the second year in a row. So we're recognized, and that's benchmarked against nursing homes. So it's great to receive that award second year in a row for the work that we do, and that's based upon return to hospital, emergency department visits. It's based upon return to home. It's based upon quality issues with skin, whether it's pressure ulcers or other types of things. So it's great to see that and to get recognized for it. You might see that on the website coming up. But that was a really good thing too. I'd sent out a quarterly communication. I think it's going out today to you all, giving you another update. And we do have a staff satisfaction survey that's coming out. So we did some staff surveying. We do surveys every year, one for residents and the next year's for staff. So we'll hopefully get those results the first week of December. We had 91% of all of our staff respond, which is great. So you hope that the more people respond, the better the result. Our goal was 85% of respondents. We got 91. That's about 230 surveys. And that's done by a third party called Hollerin Consulting. And they benchmark us against other life care service communities and also other types of providers like us across the country, so we can see how we stack up. So every other year we do that survey. So we'll get that early December. We'll eventually share those results with you once we get them. So just another way for us to make sure that we're doing a good job with our staff, our key people. Mary, you had a question.
What are the expectations for the completion of the Village Green as far as courtyard project?
The Village Green Courtyard, I know that's something that's very important to you, and I share that. Right now, the stopping point is with the architects, Batson Architects. So Holly with Earth Design has given those designs that we agreed upon, and we're just waiting for Batson, who's also helping us with the chapel, to get us those construction drawings. So once we get those drawings, we can get multiple bids, and then we can make a decision. So that's where we're at right now. And she did say she'd get it to me weeks ago. I did send her a note earlier this week. Haven't heard back from her. I need to nudge her again and ask what the status is.
Okay, thank you.
It's still a major priority for us as we move forward. Those projects I keep talking about here, I want to make sure we get them done, but unfortunately they don't happen as quickly as we always would want. So I've got one more question. Sure.
Just wondering about the chapel.
Yes.
Why didn't we pay to have it designed and we're doing something else with it, not changing it?
Yeah, we originally had some plans for the chapel, and we decided to pivot away from some of those plans. We had a donor that had given us money to create the chapel and create initial plans, and as we didn't move forward with the donor's request, we pivoted and decided to create a committee of Rolling Green Village residents to help us make some adjustments to the chapel, and that's where we're at. So we do have adjustments to that. Batson Architects is helping us with it. That's what Judy's talking about with the new introduction. So we went away from working with a primary donor to working with a handful of residents, and had a couple of different design changes that we wanted to incorporate. So it does continue to move forward. We still have over $100,000 of funds that have been raised for it, and we're excited about that progress. But there are going to be some wrinkles as we're working with the same architect and getting construction started. We want to get there as soon as we can, but the holidays are coming. It's probably going to push it out a little bit, but we still are very much committed to that being a primary project and trying to raise some funds to help us make that happen. All right, thank you all. I'm available for questions if you'd like. Have a great day. Thank you.